Hello everyone, and welcome to Galaxy 89 Cars. Today, thanks to the team at Joe Macari, I'm taking you on an in-depth exterior and interior tour of this 2018 Bugatti Chiron. This car is currently for sale with Joe Macari at the time of publishing. Named after Louis Chiron, a well-known French racing driver who drove for Bugatti in the 1950s, only 500 Chirons will be made in total, 50 more than the total amount of Veyrons. It is constructed from a carbon fibre monocoque, with carbon fibre and carbon fibre reinforced plastic panels and components. Bugatti report this architecture delivers a staggering 50,000 Nm of torsional rigidity. That's comparable to a racing car. It comes in at 4,544mm long, 1,212mm high, 2,038mm wide, and has a curb weight of 1,995 kg. This specific car is finished in a contrast paint combination of ruby and nocturne over its carbon fibre panels. To take a look at the mid-mounted engine, we don't need to lift a bonnet or clamshell, as its metal and carbon fibre covers are on display at the rear. The Chiron is powered by an updated and further refined version of the engine found in its predecessor, a quad-turbo 8-litre W16. The engine is essentially two V8s strapped together. The turbos are new two-stage components, which help to reduce lag. This huge mid-mounted engine has 15 written on it for 1500 PS, but it actually produces 1,479 brake horsepower and 1,600 Nm of torque. This output results in a 0 to 62 mph or 100 km/h time of 2.5 seconds, 124 mph in 6.5 seconds, and 186 mph or 300 km/h in 13.6 seconds. It has a standard top speed of 236 mph, but in VMAX mode can go on to an estimated top speed of 261 mph or 420 km/h. The car is sitting on 20-inch front and 21-inch rear black multi-spoke alloy wheels, which are wrapped in specially developed tyres. Braking is provided by large 420mm carbon ceramic discs and AP racing calipers at each corner. The large front brakes are surrounded by heat shields. So much heat is created from the brakes and directed away thanks to these heat shields that the hot air is actually pushed outwards and helps to speed up the lateral air curtain found around the wheels. Increased aerodynamics just from braking. Stability is provided by a four-wheel drive Haldex system, but each wheel is controlled independently and fitted with special components that give extra control for vertical, lateral and longitudinal movement. We can now start the in-depth exterior tour from front to back. The front of the Chiron is significantly more pinched and sharp than its predecessor. At the very bottom we find a gloss black splitter. Moving up, this is divided into three separate air intake sections, one on either side and one centrally, with two more above the lateral divisions, which actually follow on from the Veyron Grand Sport and are actually just part of the same intake for the radiators. The furthest lateral edge of these is open for increased airflow and therefore less resistance. The central grille flows down more tightly than in the Veyron and now finishes with a ridge at the bottom. The now famous Bugatti logo sits above, with 3D cube effect grille behind. Above, we find the new quad LED headlights that differ greatly from those found in the Veyron. They come with a sweeping on-off sequence and high beam and adaptive LED technology. There is also a duct on the inside edge of these that sends air through to cool the brakes. Looking down, we can see the exposed carbon frame. Moving up, the small bonnet has a single dynamic line running through its centre. The bonnet ends at the windscreen with two Chiron C lines. Looking closer at this area, we can see a small slit that allows air from the very front to flow over, increasing airflow and downforce further. Two quite basic wipers lie above on the square windscreen. Moving back, the central ridge found on the bonnet also runs along the gloss back roof. This is actually an homage to a classic Bugatti that I will mention soon. We can now move to the lateral aspect of the Chiron. Here we find the large C-line curves around each side that starts just in front of the mirrors. Behind, the adjustable slimline wing mirrors come with integrated LED indicators. Below, we find a functional side skirt. Air flows out from the front wheels and into the grate. It's then channeled through these vents and along the side of the car, once again for improved airflow. Moving up, the Chiron comes with tanks on either side. The carbon flaps can be unlatched with a simple depress. The one on the right here is for the car's fuel tank, which has a capacity of 100 litres. At top speed, this can be drained in under 7 minutes. It returns an official combined MPG of 22, but real-world figures of 11. The car's oil tank is fitted to its left side for easy access, as the engine is otherwise sealed off. It can be opened up in the same way as the fuel tank. Looking up, we can see how the rear intake grille section runs all the way up to the tank flaps to maximise air intake. Running down and looking in, we find further radiators. The Chiron is liquid and air cooled, with up to 60,000 litres of air and 800 litres of water circulating through the car every minute. Moving back up, the ridge continues above the engine and joins onto the rear of the car. This design element is taken from the Bugatti Type 57 SC Atlantic. The flat section below features 2 rounded areas where the engine runs back. The rear wing continues the 3 dominant lines found at the rear, one on each side and one centrally. It can be deployed manually or at speeds of over 60 miles per hour using its titanium struts, and can also act as an air brake by tilting. It is finished in Nocturne on top and Ruby below. With the wing raised, we can see the dipped section below where it usually sits. It's finished with only a grille to facilitate hot air release from the engine. The rear of the Chiron is a very open area. We first find the Ettore Bugatti badge seated atop matching carbon weave. Below, we find a 1.6 metre light strip that takes inspiration from the GT concept and is constructed of 82 LEDs. This component comes with thicker brake light complexes on either side that feature candle-like designs, Bugatti on the lateral edge, and a reverse light centrally. Above and below these, we find hot air release vents from the engine. 1 larger vent above and 4 slimmer vents below. Centrally, we find the reversing camera. Below this, there are 2 reflectors on either side and the large diffuser below. There are 2 large fins on either side that channel air coming out of the undercar Venturi tunnels. Moving centrally, there are 6 exhaust exits in total from the Chiron's full titanium system, 4 seen centrally and 2 that we can see under the car. These are used to create a blown diffuser effect, effectively speeding up airflow to create a low pressure zone at the rear to produce more downforce. You may have seen this technology in F1. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get an exhaust clip. Now we've finished the exterior tour, we can move inside. The Chiron comes with 2 keys. Here I present their underside and top sides. The speed key is made from aluminium, with leather and stitching following the design found inside the car. It features buttons to lock and unlock. The very standard and light-feeling door handles pull out easily, as do the doors. The interior of this Chiron is finished in beluga black leather with red contrast stitching. Inside we also find leather, carbon fibre and aluminium. We can now start the interior in-depth tour with the doors. The top is constructed from an angular pillar, with the flat top section ending with air vents. The contrast stitching below creates a C-line on the doors, with the aluminium window controls, handle, door latch and mirror controls. Below, there's an illuminated storage area that could be opened up, and a smaller fixed one ahead of it. When open, the doors also project Chiron onto the ground. As we move across the side skirts, we can begin to see the carbon weave coming through. Despite being a low car, ingress and egress is actually very straightforward, thanks to the relatively slim sill. But to the right, we do find the port for the Chiron speed key that unlocks the car's top speed. We also find 3-stage seat memory controls, the parking brake and above, the first manually adjustable air vent and exterior light controls. The vents can be adjusted up and down and laterally. The open vent to its left supplies the door with airflow for the vents that I showed you earlier. The carbon fibre steering wheel is to the right. The carbon at the top has a matte finish. Moving down, there are aluminium dividers, and then leather at the 9 and 3 positions. To the left, we find volume, skip track and call controls. The blue drive mode selector for lift, auto, autobahn, handling and top speed mode. The horn is central. LC or launch control is below, with the blue engine start-stop button and controls for the trip and infotainment system to the right. Depressing the blue engine button turns on the car's ignition and screen start sequences. The instrument cluster is divided into 3 segments here, from left to right. A digital display showing revs, engine temperature and basic trip and warning lights. The analog speedo centrally that goes up to 500 km per hour or 310 miles per hour, with digital speed and gear selected below. And finally the digital trip and infotainment screen to the right. The screen on the left has 3 other displays: speed, car status and real-time power usage in PS. On the right, and starting in the car option, we can first check tyre pressures, then the chrono timer, and then general settings information such as date and time, comfort, lighting and language settings, with the final menu being the car's trip. Below car, we find controls for the Chiron's FM, AM and DAB digital radio. Media comes next, where devices can be connected via Bluetooth or USB. Navigation comes after, where the user can manually scroll around, zoom in and out, select destinations from the map itself, as well as input destinations and select previous routes. This is followed by a compass, traffic information, and then general settings. Phone connectivity options come next via Bluetooth. Finally, we reach the sound menu option, where the equalizer for the sound system can be found, as well as sound controls for the sat-nav and traffic announcements. The leather upholstered dash ahead is formed around the 2 driver zones and starts with a tweeter from the surround sound system built by Accuton that comes with CVD diamonds at each of the 4 tweeters to enable higher audio frequencies. There's ventilation centrally with the vertical strip, and finally the second tweeter. Looking in, we can see the visible carbon fibre around the instrument cover. Moving down the central column, each component here is milled from aluminium, with the strip itself acting as a smooth feature to join the front to the centre of the car. The controls are for demist and forward-facing vents, with the button for max. AC fan speed, AC temperature, seat heating controls for both sides, and finally the hazard light button. Behind, we find the gear selector for the car's 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, where the clutches are supposedly the biggest seen in any road car. Gear shifting can take place here or at the paddles behind the wheel, but the car can also run in fully auto mode of course. Moving back, we find the on-off button for the infotainment system. Moving down, the central column does have an illuminated open storage area with USB connectivity. And to the left of this, we can see the embroidered Chiron logo with the aluminium pedals. Behind the aluminium strip in the central column, there's another small open storage area. On either side, we find the electrically adjustable carbon fibre seats. These are a slimmer and more angular evolution of those found in the Veyron. They are fully electrically adjustable with controls found to the side. When pushed fully forward, we can see the exposed carbon, the leather handles and slim storage pocket, here holding the high-vis jacket. Between the seats, we find the main C-line, which is illuminated and is designed to help separate driver and passenger zones, as well as reinforce the C-shaped design language. Looking behind, we find another tweeter and various aluminium coat hooks, one of which can be pulled out. In the middle of these components, there's a square port window that facilitates some rear view, but more importantly, a good view of the engine bay. The area behind the seats is quite basic, with either a speaker or an air vent and the seatbelt. Now we've finished the interior tour, we can take a look at the car's remaining storage. There's a glove compartment on the passenger side. It can be opened by depressing the button to the left. It's fully illuminated and offers quite a lot of extra space, but has to be manually closed. The front boot is opened by pulling the lever to the left of the driver's footwell. Now at the front, a small catch needs to be depressed to free the bonnet before it can be self-supported on two struts. The front boot, or frunk, offers only 44 litres of storage space and is completely full here thanks to the various Bugatti boxes, bags and wallets. Looking up, we find two reservoirs, wiper fluid to the left and brake to the right. The first pouch is for the charger, which is currently being used. The leather box to the left was presented to the customer when they first collected the car and carries the key. The bag below is for the car's indoor cover. Moving back inside briefly, the driver's sun visor is a very slim component and doesn't come with a mirror. However, the passenger sun visor does come with a mirror, although it isn't illuminated. The final controls above are for the C-line illumination and LED reading lights. The auto-dimming rear view mirror provides a great view out of the rear of the car and a less restricted rear view than one might imagine. So that concludes my in-depth exterior and interior tour of this 2018 Bugatti Chiron. Thanks again to the team at Joe Macari for letting me produce this video. All of their links are in the description of the video. Please subscribe for the latest content, and until next time, thanks for watching.